Hi, I am not the voice you were expecting to hear today. My name is Erik, and I'm normally the co-host of Adventures in Collecting, but today I'm your special guest here at the Kornercast. For 15 years, Caster's Corner has been covering the toy industry, interviewing luminaries and providing reviews, and this year embarked on something extra special. 365 days straight of toy reviews with the Toy of the Day project. In this special episode, I have the privilege of flipping the script on the man behind the curtain, someone who helped me find my footing when we started Adventures in Collecting, and a guy that sincerely does not take enough credit for what he does. So, welcome to your show, Khalil.
Thank you, Erik. That was wonderful. That was the nicest introduction I've ever had.
Well, I figure if you're asking me to host your show, I got to do it the right way,
Yeah, I really, like I said it before we started, but I really can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this. It really means a lot, and I really thought long and hard, and I honestly can say I don't think I could have thought of anybody better to do it. So I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity. So I feel like the first thing I have to ask you is, what does it feel like to be on this side of the conversation?
It's weird. It is weird to have done 360. I will say this: I have 363 days in the can.
Okay.
I have 2 days left to record, and that's because Mail is coming tomorrow with a really big. Well, when they see this and hear this, it'll already have been up there. I got some preview figures of some Marvel Legends that nobody knows about. Well, they are known about, but nobody has done a review of them at this point. So I'd rather not say, just in case I don't actually get them tomorrow. But the plan is to kind of do those two big ones as kind of like first looks that nobody's done reviews of yet.
Awesome.
So I'm kind of excited about that. So I held those 2 days back, but I recorded day 365 because I made that big display in the back with my 3 Sentinels. So I wanted to do the review of the Sentinels because they are 365. And how does it feel? I don't know what to do with myself. I would be honest with you.
You're like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't like. I've got stuff here that's piled up. I bought more toys today, and I'm like, well, do we do 366? Do we how do we? I don't know what's on. I don't know what's on the other side of this. To be honest with you, I haven't really. My goal was to get to 365, and I got there, and now I don't know what to do because I don't have a plan.
Well, before we dive into the actual project and your future plans, I'm more so I'm just curious, what does it feel like to be interviewed on your own show?
It's the first time I've been interviewed. I'll be honest with you. Like, we talked a little bit about this. This is the first time that anybody's actually interviewed me, or I've been the focus, where I haven't been like trying to drive the conversation. So it's a little bit weird. But I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about it. And I didn't want this to be a monologue, and there's a lot. There is a lot to kind of work through. So it feels good to kind of be able to have this conversation with somebody.
Well, like I said, it is my honor to be doing this with you. But I feel like, again, before we get into everything, 15 years. I mean, forget 365 days a year, because I mean, like, sure, that's a commitment, but 15 years, you have been doing this for 15 years, and I feel like that is it's an amount of time that I feel like a lot of collectors and a lot of toy bloggers really, there are very few that can really grasp that. I mean, I've been doing this for 2 years, and I feel like I've aged 15 years in the 2 years I've been doing it. What have you seen change over the 15 years you've been doing this?
Well, I think of it as like classes. you know, like looking at like different classes like coming up, like MCU Collector 24, Toy Shiz. I would put you guys kind of in the same class, meaning like time frame. Like it's been like 3-4 years for Toy Shiz, 2 or 3 years for you, kind of getting it up and going, and MCU Collector, same thing. And my class, everybody's gone for the most part. Like there is nobody else like left standing that was in the original form.
It's like you and Dan Pickett probably. Or the
Dan was before me. Like Dan was way before me.
Oh, really? He was that? I figured he was only doing it for 15, maybe 20 years max.
So he opened his own site, I think, the year before I did. Okay. But he had been like the toy insider for a while, like 10 years, 10 years, writing on different stories and things like that, and being part of different sites. So that's what I mean as far as like my class of like starting from scratch and building their own. I think me and Brian Isaacs at Fanboy Factor, although his was Pendragon's Post, that's what I'm saying. I think Caster's Corner is the only one from that class of It's All True and Poe Ghostal and me and him, and like everybody kind of was like, yeah, no, I did this for fun and I'm kind of out. Like even Jesse, who's on all the time with us, he's kind of been like doing his own thing. You know, once in a while he'll be on the podcast, but so that's kind of weird to think about. Like I'm the last man standing. And then the thing that's different is, I think there was a format when I started. Like this is the expectation of what you will produce as a toy blogger. And, I think everybody has kind of proven that that's not the case anymore in a lot of ways. Like you can kind of do your own thing and do it however you want to do it. And that's kind of, you know, you can find it. And I think that was the thing I struggled with the most of, finding.
Well, I mean, 15 years. I mean, you think about it, right? Where was social media and the internet's place 15 years ago? It was maybe basic HTML blogs. Like, you're talking, people that were probably using Zanga and LiveJournal in order to cover things if they didn't have, basic HTML programming skills, because there wasn't a whole lot out there. Like I remember reading those types of blogs and those early, toy and entertainment blogs, and they were very, very, very simple. And in the span of 15 years, you've gone from like nothing, being able to really, access an audience in one or two places max, to literally, it seems like a new platform or new new app every couple months.
We've been experimenting with TikTok in the last 2 weeks, the two of us.
Same. Yeah.
So I coded my first site. Like I wrote the code for my first site. Not as extensive as you would think. There was a template that I could play with the coding and move things around. And so it started as a WordPress blog, which actually is still up. Like if you go to WordPress.com or casterscorner.wordpress.com or something like that, you can still find the original blog, which is kind of trippy. And I've always thought about migrating those posts over to the website, and it just kind of was like, let's just leave it.
Easy solution to that. You just make a link that says archive, and it just links to that. That's it.
There's nothing good there. The pictures are horrible. The writing's really bad. Because I just did what I thought I had to do. And so that turned into casterscorner.com, bought the domain and the registry and all that stuff. And then coded the, worked on the coding for the first one, kind of very rudimentary. And then, there was no social media. And I had to rely on message boards to get my posts out. And I had to play nice with said message boards to get my posts attention, because otherwise there was no way to kind of get that out there. So, and then Facebook, and then slowly, everything else. So
So how has it been, overall adapting over because like you just said, we seem to be always in sync with each other these days, but I have to shout him out. Like I saw that Toysha's posted a story that it was like, I'm on TikTok now, and at that point, like I had to stop and be like, oh, I guess I gotta do TikTok now. If he's finally pulling the trigger on it, that means that like I'm gonna get left behind if I don't. So let me figure out how to use TikTok, because I didn't even have a personal TikTok.
Yeah,
I didn't even have the app installed.
Yeah, I've been, as everybody do the pandemic, TikTok addicted to just kind of doom scrolling through them. But I kind of dabbled in it here and there, and I know I need to do more. I've got ideas. The problem is, for me, I have a really hard time, like creatively, like putting things together is really hard for me, because it's like I have an idea in my head and I never can like get that out there in a lot of times. And so I end up just like obsessively trying to edit. And, you lose momentum and you're like, okay, well, screw it. But, yeah, I like it now better, because I think the way to get things out is more suited to my personality now. So it's easier to kind of take the reins and kind of, be out front of it all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Raw and unedited is currently very in, as you can see by TikTok. And I mean, if you ever decide to do 365 days of toys again, TikTok would be a wonderful place to showcase that. Just
I started out there. I started if you go back to my TikTok, like my first few were about this. Yeah. It was kind of learning video and kind of playing with things. And, I would do, hey, we're checking out blah, 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 blah. Here it is. And like a short version of what the YouTube video was. And, I had trouble keeping the focus, like making sure that certain things happened to do the toy of the day meant other things kind of went by the wayside a little bit. It was kind of keeping up with the podcast and doing the daily toy left very little room this year for other things.
So speaking of the project itself, we've mentioned it a couple times now, but the ordeal of putting yourself through 365 days of toys, how now did the idea for the toy of the day start? Where did it come from?
So it started with the new website. I paid a web designer a lot of money and formed Jackson Studios LLC with the idea that we were going to sell ads and we were going to go to Comic-Con and we were going to do it the right way this time. And then the pandemic happened. Literally, like, I don't know, like a month before launch. Like, had all the paperwork filed, had everything ready, had my San Diego tickets ready, everything ready. March 13th hits, nobody's going anywhere. Just not. And I just was like, okay. So my idea was that if I was going to put all this money into the website and put all this money into the business, I had to actually keep up. I've always had help in the past. Bill, who's been a writer on the site and a podcast guest, has been one of the people who kept Cash's Corner going. When I went through a divorce, went through breakups, all the stuff. Bill kept it going through all the bad parts. And so Bill and I decided that it was not good for our friendship to continue doing that. And so I decided I was going to kind of rebrand the whole site, redesign it, start from scratch. And it meant it was all on my shoulders. And if I was going to take it seriously and keep the receipts and do the taxes and all that stuff, that meant I had to actually produce content. And so my initial idea in January was the 2-minute, I was trying to go for alliteration, the 2-minute toy review. And so I was trying to do these 2-minute toy reviews, like trying to get 120 seconds. I know you do your 2-minute news updates every week. or every other week. And so I was like, I can do 2-minute toys. Like it's really easy. Just throw on the thing, blah, 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 blah. And then I let people take a look at it. And that was March. And everybody had notes. And it just shut me right down. And I was like, I can't do it. Because, and I'm not mad at my friends for doing it. Like, my girlfriend was critical of it. My best friends were very critical of it. And not from a place of like, hey, you're screwing up. It was more of a place of, hey, let's make this better. And my perspective was, I just need to get it out. And so it really just shut me down. So February to December, it was like podcast. We're just going to focus on the podcast. We'll do a lot of work on Instagram. We'll take a lot of pictures. We'll do a lot of work that way. If anybody sends us samples, we'll do formal reviews. We'll do write-ups and all that stuff. But I gave up on the video. I really did. I was like, I can't do this. I can't edit video. I can't add intros. I can't do the animations. I can't do the transitions. I don't know how to export the right size file. It was all that kind of stuff where it was just kind of like, I even took classes and I was like, I just can't. It's not going to happen.
It's the hardest part. It is, and I can completely commiserate with you there. It is, the video part is the hardest part. And I mean, I for Adventures in Collecting, we aim for a new video once a week. Like a video, like YouTube video, not like a little short Instagram thing, but like a video that requires like sit down, edit, like think about what you're going to what's going to come out of your mouth. Does it make sense? Are you repeating yourself? Are you rambling? And there are some times where like I'm done editing a video and I'm just like, I do not like this video. But I'm like 3 hours start to finish, filming, editing, yada, 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 exporting, all that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to hit go and we're going to see what happens. And like, there have been videos like that, man, where like, no joke. One of our highest performing videos is a review of that not really great vintage collection 3-pack. The like, what was it? The
gift cards?
The Luke,
no.
The Luke Vader Yoda one. The like.
Okay. Yep.
Cave of Evil, I think.
Yep.
It's a not great figure pack. Like,
yeah,
it's a little off. The Yoda's very good, but that's like one of our highest performing videos. And I remember finishing that one, and me, like Captain Positivity about everything. It was very difficult to get through that video and not be like, this is not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it ended up being one of our most popular ones, and that was kind of like a thing for me where I finished that video and I was like, I need to stop overthinking, and just I'm not going to please everybody. Not everything is going to be a magnum opus. It's just it's a toy that exists and I'm covering it. That's the way I try to think about it sometimes.
Yeah. 3 hours, Jesus.
Yeah. And I mean, now I've gotten it down a little bit. Like I've templatized the process, and like I have the same file that I open every time, and it has certain parts of the video are like already in place, and I just have to drop some things in. Like I'm at a much better place than I am than I was when I was making those videos,
I get it
from scratch.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I do like that. I can feel that. And I think that was a barrier for entry to me too, where I think the difference too is I think the amount of stuff I buy. I think that was like the spotlight for a lot of people to just be like, Jesus Christ, how much did you buy? And I'm like, yeah, no, like I was averaging, I don't know, like $700 a month.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that for a second. This is you're segueing into the question. It's almost as if you've seen the questions before, and I know for a fact
you haven't. I asked you not to do it. Yeah, natural conversation.
So yeah, about that, right? So I tried to think about this. Realistically. If I were to like, and again, like let's perfect scenario, right? Like you order a case of figures. You order a shipment from Big Bad, right? And
Yep.
you have a pile of loot that's stacking up.
Yep.
And you get that pile of loot, and let's say it has 20 figures in it, right? Let's just like generalize.
Yep.
That's 20 days. If you banged out that entire box in a couple of days, like just batch filmed a couple of videos, you're looking at 20 days of figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right there, like for a lot of people, that's a lot. Like that's a, now you're doing that for 365 days, and not all of those videos are one figure. Some of them you did whole waves of figures.
Yeah.
So the question that I have for you, and this is actually something that like I waited to ask you because I didn't want to know the answer until we had this conversation. Did you reach the point where you were just buying stuff because you knew that you had to, like, you had committed to this and you were going to do it? So like there was stuff that maybe you were on the fence about, or stuff that you were just curious and would not have bought normally?
There's only two things. Two.
So you're telling me time out. So you're telling me that out of the 365 days that you did this, and again, we are not talking about 365 toys. I tried to go back and look at all the videos and do the math, and I gave up because there were too many videos where it was like, we're going to talk about this figure. Oh, of course I picked the figure that's invisible. We're going to talk about this figure.
Yep.
Oh, and then we're going to this one, and then we're going to do this one too, by the way. Just,
wait.
these three.
I got a good one for you. Oh, okay. So finish your question, but I got a good follow-up to that. Remind me of that.
So out of the 365 days, only 2 of the days feature toys that would not have been normal purchases for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and then I did, I didn't tell anybody this because, I didn't want anybody to know. I went on vacation for a week.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want anybody to know I was on vacation. So I did what I called Cashers Corners Beginnings. So those weren't purchased for, well, actually there were a couple things in there that were purchased during the last year that could kind of count as Toy of the Day-ish. But there was 1 week, about 2 months ago, where I was running low and knowing stuff was coming, but not knowing when it was going to show up.
Yeah.
So I bought the Ghostbusters marshmallow canisters, and I bought the McFarlane Disney-verse, whatever it was, Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
And those two things, 100%, had I really just took stock of what was around me, I probably wouldn't have bought those. But I felt like I needed something newer to talk about versus something that was like maybe a month old. And so I bought those two. But those were really the only two that like stick in my head going, I don't know why the hell I'm doing these reviews. Now, in addition to all that, there were samples that came through too. So some of those Toys of the Days were thank you samples from Hasbro and Playmobil and Diamond Select Toys. I'm trying to think who else sent us some stuff. I think that's about it. I think those are the 3 companies that really kind of helped out. Diamond especially came through that period of time where like I thought I was really lean.
Yeah.
And so I got about 10 days out of the box they sent me. So that was a nice kind of boost to kind of get me through around the middle of this whole thing. So but yes, and at the beginning when I started the year with full waves, like Into the Spider-Verse, the Disney Plus wave, a couple of those waves where I was like, okay, I'm just going to throw the whole wave in there. And then as the year went on, I was like, I need to space these out a little bit. So waves got to be like 4 reviews and sometimes 5, depending on who was in it. And then I was pulling. People may or may not have seen these when this airs, to be honest with you. But the Age of Apocalypse wave I got when the pandemic happened. It was the second toys I'd gotten and went to a Target to buy in March.
Yeah.
And I never reviewed them. So Age of Apocalypse 2 comes out. And so my Age of Apocalypse reviews for Marvel Legends is an amalgamation of both waves.
Hey,
so I was pulling out those. Yeah.
That makes sense though to me. That's good logic. It's good logic. Because then you're making use of product for content and making it relevant again.
Yeah.
I think that works. I think that totally. I'm right there with you.
So yeah, but really, honestly, there were two days only in the whole year
where I felt my mind.
I bought stuff that was like outside of my scope, as I have called it in the past. It's like, this is my scope and these are outside of that. So
yeah, you know me. I'm always talking about guardrails and then figuring out how I can move them.
Well, I think that's one of the conversations, and I hope I don't derail this too much, but like that was one of the conversations we had, because I felt like for me to talk to some of the industry people and to go to Toy Fair and have, not that you can't, but I feel like I can't have certain conversations with certain people if I don't have a knowledge of the product. And packaged product on the shelf for me doesn't equate to those kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Like for example, I just got, they're somewhere here. I moved them. I don't know where they went. I got the new McFarlane's, the new Lobo and Batgirl and all that. They look gorgeous in the package. They can't stand on their own. The ankles are too weak. The accessories are oversized. And so to have the conversation with people in that booth, say, hey, this is an issue. What do you know, have this been addressed? I feel like industry wise, I need to be able to have those kind of conversations with them.
Yeah.
And so part of it is, you know, it is within the scope, but I do buy stuff just so I can stay relevant to certain conversations that I have with people.
I'm finding that to become more and more challenging on my end. And I know I was very much so the last time we spoke about this.
Yeah.
Was very much a proponent of like guardrails are important because if you don't have guardrails, then, you know, you drive off the road, figuratively.
Yes.
And, you know, I think part of the thing that I think you have to consider and something that I've started to consider is just paring down. So like, you know, if you end up buying a couple things for, you know, for research, right? There's already been stuff where I've bought it just to been like, you know, let's see what the hype is about this. Like, you know, I haven't seen this yet. I'm curious. And I bought it and been like, cool. Now I know what this is. Don't need it.
Right.
Or for instance, like I just bought, so granted, again, we're not going to go too far, but I bought a Mythic Legions figure. I was at Legion Con because it's literally like 25 minutes from my house. So I bought a Mythic Legions figure and I did a review of it and I photographed it and it's beautiful. And as far as I'm concerned, like it is just a really good, like medieval knight figure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, that would have been totally it for me for Mythic Legions. No knock to the Four Horsemen Studios. They're beautiful figures. I just can't afford to go down that rabbit hole. Then they put out a Krampus figure and I went, well, you know, I guess two. I guess I'm gonna have two because I can't. Yeah. That Krampus figure was just perfect.
I'm the same way. I recently in the last like 2 weeks got my first one. Our friend Jay Hernandez actually sold me it.
What a guy.
I wanted the Battle Cat version.
Okay.
Because I thought it looked good with Thundercats, and at some point I want to get the Panther version too, Homage or whatever they're calling them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I like those two, but yeah, I can't go down that road. They're too expensive. So I mean, I do say no to stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I do, I have my blind spots to certain things.
Do you though?
Yeah, I do. I do. I realize it. DJ's kids on Little Geeks are into some stuff that I'm just like, I have no idea what the hell this is. Can you just tell me what you need me to find for you? Because I have no idea. Send me
pictures.
Yeah, send me pictures or links are good too. So
you've alluded to it a couple times, but outside of just the kind of the bigger picture commitment of doing this every day for 365 days, it's not to say that there's not a bunch of other things that you have going on in your life, both your daily grind and living.
Yeah.
How did you manage the time? How did you really kind of carve out the time to do this? I know you didn't do it every day. There were definitely days where you did like more than one video in one day, but like how did you juggle everything?
So I want to say the first, I don't know, 6 months, however long that worked out to be, June. Yeah, probably June-ish, was every day, was carving out that time every day. I would come home from work, and I would sit down and just do the video. And it was a frantic mad dash because I was not organized. This room was not set up. If you go back and watch the first video, you can see how dark and different the room was. And so it was just finding that, it was just that repetitive nature, and then just trying to find the toys, to be honest with you. Like, I had them, right? I had them all. But I didn't buy them with the thought of I'm going to do the video of them. Like, I was going to review them or talk about them or do pictures or something, but I wasn't going to do like a video every day. And so when I finally made the decision, it was like, all right, I'm going to start here. And so the second night or third night, I think I did a giveaway too, to kind of stimulate some interest in like the first week or so. And so I was frantic to find the toys because I didn't know where they were in the house. I knew they were in the house. I didn't know where. And so it was a good like 90 minutes tearing the place apart, trying to find these two toys so I could do this, so I could do the giveaway, so I can like these things. And so the first 6 months or so was a daily grind of it. Like every day, sit down and do it. It was easy because it was me sitting there with the with the computer, with everything set up, and just, here's the toy, here's what we're talking about. See you later. It evolved over time where it turned into, I remember I got KG Beast from Mezco, came in, and I was going to do a review, and I thought, well, because I came up with the idea that every time I did a review, I would take the figures, and I was like, we're going to do a consistent, like, here's the figures and here's me. Like, this is what we're doing. And so I was like, we need something a little more dynamic. You can't just do this anymore. So I think KG Beast, Two-Face, and Harley, I did those 3 in a row. And just on my side of my desk, I just put a blank background, took a shot of them, and used it as the cover photo. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, nobody's going to the website. So we're going to make it a post on the website with a gallery that people can go to see pictures, because people are going to want to see close-ups, because this wasn't working. Yeah. I got a lot of comments of like, we can't see them. All right, we'll do it. Then I'll do it. So it was like this evolutionary stage. And it really wasn't until, I want to say like 5 months in, that I was like, okay, I got to pre-record a video. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to pre-record a video because I was doing it live. I was doing it through Facebook, through YouTube Live.
Gotcha.
And so I didn't know how to do that. And so I don't remember which one it was. But I remember pre-recording for the first time and then uploading And so that was, and then YouTube was having issues with processing live videos. And so I thought I was going to lose one of them. So I was like, okay, I got to figure a way around this. Yeah. So pre-recording became a thing. And then I would look at my week and go, all right, well, work's going to be this, or I got to do this. And so, or I'm going to go away for the weekend, or, you know, we're going to go do this. And so I can't be at the house. So how am I going to do this? And so that's when pre-recording kind of came in. So
now, not to mention, not to bring up sad times, but you also had a little bit of a loss. I should say more than a little bit of a loss.
Yeah.
With your buddy Jackson, while this was all happening. So, you know, how did that impact the process?
So one of the things that I contended with, through all of this, launching the website, he got sick right when we launched the website. About 2 weeks before we launched the website, he crashed, and we thought we were going to lose him. And so we didn't have any money. All my money was tied up in the website. I'd borrowed everything from family, and there was no place else to go. And we lucked out getting help and being able to make the right choice for him. And so we found out he had a heart condition, and money to pay for that and medication fixed it. He had, you know, good days or bad days here and there, but you know, once I started the videos, I want to say he was doing pretty good. And so I did a few videos with him, and we had a couple scares over the summer. And so I did a video with him saying, you know, I don't know if he's going to be around much longer, but, you know, I want to do this. And I had pre-recorded pretty much up until that point. I was kind of behind a little bit. And so he crashed in September on the 21st. Right before that, actually, like that weekend, he kind of really, really had a hard time. And I saw the writing on the wall, and I was still doing videos. I was still like pre-recording and doing them then. And they were not great. They were kind of like, I'd come in the room, record the video, take 5 pictures, throw them up, in and out of the room in 30 minutes or less. And then I'd go back and be with him. And so then he got sick, and really sick. And then his heart gave out, like literally. It just stopped. And so it started up and then stopped and started. And so he died on the 21st. And those are the only 2 days that I took off. So we were supposed to be done on the 14th of December, and it pushed it to the 16th of December. That night I didn't have any. I had stuff. Actually, I had stuff pre-recorded. I had about a week's worth of pre-recorded stuff. And knowing that he was going to be sick, my girlfriend took him for an afternoon, and I sat in this room and I recorded about 15 videos so that I had stuff just in case he got sicker. And then he died, and I just couldn't even sit in here. And then the next day, I wasn't ready either. And this company sent me a book that was dedicated to him. And so that took about a month to kind of get to be able to actually do that. Because the idea was it was a storybook. And so he was going to sit here, and the book was going to be here. And I was going to read to him as the review. And he never got to see it. And I never got to do it. And so, and I had another figure. I got the Kornercast Jackson figure. Even though it was wrong, it still had his name on the box. And so I was holding that for him too. And so he never got well enough to be able to do those last 2 with him. So But those are the only 2 days this year that I took off because, yeah, that was it. I did them on Christmas and Thanksgiving and my birthday and Easter every day. Like there wasn't a day that I didn't get a video up, except for those 2 days for him.
Well, speaking as somebody who is terribly allergic to most animals, and I haven't had the opportunity to really bond with a pet that way, I get to enjoy everyone else's pet. I live vicariously through what I like to refer to my nieces and nephews of my my friends who are pet parents, and even that level of relationship with them, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I don't have kids. Like I don't have kids. I don't know if I'm going to. I'm kind of honest about that. I don't shy away from that. I say it. And he was the closest thing I had, and we went through a lot together in the last 12 years. We had been through divorce and breakups, and my mom almost dying, and him almost dying, and new relationships and new situations and new jobs, and every decision I made was a lot for him. What was going to be best for him, and his quality of life. So. Yeah, it still hurts.
He was your constant.
Yeah,
he was your constant.
Yeah, he was the other part of my soul. That's what we used to call him.
It's one of those things where, stripping away the toy stuff and the relationship that we have as peers that way, I've been lucky enough, that we've become friends over the last 2 years, and without you even having to tell me, I knew something was up. Like I could just tell by the way that your behavior had changed, that there was something that you were not quite ready yet to tell me.
Yeah.
And when you finally did, I was like, I thought it was going to be that. And I was beat up for when you told me, my day grinded to a halt. I felt terrible for you.
Yeah. It was one of those things where I'm not, I didn't used to be a very emotionally available person. And I had that wail, literally just screamed and fell and hit the floor when the doctor told me what was about to happen. I was home, he was at the hospital, and I found out. And and the first thought after I told Mom and my girlfriend, the first thought actually was I'm not doing a video tonight.
Yeah.
That's how important this whole year was for me. Where it was no, and I I'm thankful though, because I don't know which ones. There are some that are very blatant, that he was in them because he was in the picture or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I did Jackson's first toy. I did that episode with him, which was a lot of fun for me. And but there were a lot of times where he was in the room while I was doing it. So I have that. He is part of it. He is part of this year, and so I'm thankful to have been able to capture some of those moments that I don't think I would have captured in any other way. So I'm thankful for that.
Well, on the idea too of kind of wearing your heart on your sleeve for this, whether it's through, kind of remembering Jackson through the completion of this project, because he was such a part of it. But one of the other things that, we've kind of talked about at length is kind of when you do this and you're putting yourself out there, the reception of the content, whether that be through, metrics or, engagement, views, likes, all that stuff. It's tough right now because, as these social media, companies, continue to change their algorithms and figure out, what they determine to be the best way to serve people content, overall, there is a there's a downshift in, engagement and metrics, and,
Yeah.
and everybody's stuff is down.
Yeah.
Did you find that to be, or I should say, were there any points in the process where those kind of metrics and the kind of response to your content, hindered you in any way?
Nope.
That's the right answer.
So here's the thing, right? I made this, and it kind of goes back to where we started talking about it, where I asked for feedback, right? I asked for my friends, like, I don't know how to edit this. How do you do this? How does this look? How does this, what do you think about this? No one knew I was doing this, by the way. I didn't tell anybody. I did not tell anybody I was doing this. And so it went by, like, I think I did 2 or 3 days before I shared it with people. And the feedback I got was, and it was very specific. I said, don't tell me, I'm not going to edit. It's going to be 100%. Like, if I flub, I flub. If I forget something, I forget something. Not going to edit it. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to do anything with it. I think there was only one video that got edited because I said something that I wasn't supposed to say because of the timing of the video. Like, something was good. It's like I reviewed an item. Something was about to be announced and I knew about it and I mentioned it. And in my head, I went, I got to cut it. I can't say those things. So that's probably the only time I've edited that. But I was very, very like precise in saying, like, hey, I don't critique what I'm saying. Just tell me how to make it look a little bit better. Yeah. So Jesse and DJ, and at some points you too, but at the beginning it was Jesse and DJ. And I said, how do I make the camera look better? So Jesse gave me a camera. So the camera I'm using now and the camera I use for it is thanks to Jesse. And then I bought a stand to make it higher. DJ helped with the lighting, and then slowly this room turned into a really nice backdrop for it. So it kind of evolved over that time. But when I think about metrics and what the outside thought of it, I didn't do this for anybody but myself. Like Instagram, yes, I try to get more followers because I want to go to San Diego and I want to go to Toy Fair and I got to keep the website stats up. So yes, I pay attention to those because we're required to share some of that information. Although the older I get, the less I'm willing to kind of let them in on my numbers because they don't share their numbers. So I have a little bit of a standoff with them and I go, it's proprietary information. I don't give that out. Sorry. Like, I've been doing it 15 years. If you don't want me in your room, then you don't want me in your room and I don't really care anymore. But as far as doing these videos, I don't really like, if some of them have like 5 views, like recently.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I see it just because I look and make sure everything kind of went up. Cause like right now, as we're talking, one of tonight's was loading. And so, I started this chat and I don't know if it loaded yet. So in like 10 minutes, I'll go and take a look, and it shows me how many views. I have 20. Some of them have 5,000. Like, it's great. It's fun. But like, I really did this for me to prove, that I could do this, because I will say this. I had an abusive ex-wife, who constantly belittled me and my skills, and constantly told me that my friends were better at it than I was, and she didn't understand why I couldn't be as good as them. So I had a very big chip and complex about my abilities to do this kind of work. And so that's why I kind of deferred to Bill a lot, because I had it in my head that he was better than me. He is a better writer than me, but I don't think he's a better person than me. Like, I don't believe that anymore. And so this was a little bit on me of like, I can do this and I'm really damn good at it. And and I'm going to do it. So I did this for me. I did this 365 for me.
And to be truthful, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, it's fun when other people engage with the content you produce, and you put it out there, and you hope that the whether it's 5 or 5,000 people, whoever sees it enjoys it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's you're not putting content out into the world to make people miserable.
No.
But at the end of the day, the way that I look at it is, and this is coming from a background of being a musician. So prior to doing, to covering toys, I was always in bands.
Yeah.
And, recorded original music, put it out into the world, and it most times went nowhere.
Yeah.
Like we had a couple of decent gigs here and there over, some of the bands that I was in. But the one thing that I've learned is, even with that, when those bands went nowhere, I wasn't doing it for anybody. I was doing it for me.
Yeah.
I was writing songs because that was my form of expression. Now my form of expression has become, as my wife likes to say it, you can't write songs anymore because you're happy. You have 2 children, you have a roof over your head, you have food on the table. I can't write angsty punk songs anymore because I'm not an angsty 18-year-old. But what I can do is I can filter that energy into a podcast. I can filter it through a camera and take pictures of toys. It's not as thrilling as gigging in Manhattan and and Jersey Shore and stuff, but it's something.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it was, I think the other thing that kind of lit a little bit of a fire under me was like 3 years ago, that was that whole drama about all the YouTuber toy reviewers leaving YouTube.
Oh yeah, when YouTube was changing the thing for kids. Yeah.
And I did a podcast about it, because all of them, and all of them, it's hard to say because there's probably millions of toy reviewers on there, to be honest with you. But all the big names that everybody would recognize if I were to start name dropping right now, without question, all of them said, if I'm not going to make money off of this and you're not going to pay for my Patreon, then I'm going to take my ball and go home and not do this content anymore. And that lit a fire under me that was like, then go. Because I think that I am just as good, if not better, than some of those big toy reviewers, because it's about the community.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about normalizing our passion for this hobby that I think all of them miss on a daily basis. That's a personal opinion of mine in a lot of ways. Because I think that they focus on the toys and not the experience of getting them, or making the people that are watching feel good about talking about this stuff. I think it's very transactional. Like, you're here to see this, and this is, they don't talk about like, hey, I went to 6 Targets today and this is what I found. And, the excitement, like when I do this review, this is going to be an extra this week. When I do this one, like the surprise of it and like the excitement of it and just like the coolness of it.
Oh, you have headphones on. I was going to say, put it on. I want to see. Well, we'll wait We'll wait until afterwards. But again, with the segues, speaking of the enjoyment, right? Because I mean, we've talked about the process, right? Like the boring stuff, the logistic stuff. Well, I shouldn't say boring, but like the not fun stuff, the tedium. The fun stuff is the toys and actually getting to experience them, and how you went about getting them, whether they were, like you said, whether they were promotional items or whether they were things that you were hunting, ordering online, whatever. But as we've stated, you have snuck in far more than 365 toys.
Yes.
With all of that wonderful plastic passing through your hands. Did you have any kind of unexpected findings throughout the journey?
So that's where the 15 years comes in. There's only so many ways I can talk about a mini mate. I love Zach. I love Zach, and the mini mates might be hands down might be my favorite toy line ever. Like, honestly,
Barry Bradfield does one hell of a job on the design of those. They're so good,
but they're so encompassing. Like, I have Kevin Smith next to Jean-Luc Picard, next to Tom Holland and Laura Croft. At like the mixing of things like is amazing. Anyway, there's only so many ways to talk about a Marvel Legend. Like, there just is. Like, listen, you're gonna buy it. Like 90% of the time, it's not about. I forgot the question now. What did I find that was different? That was unexpected.
Unexpected.
So the unexpected thing was like how much I actually buy. Okay. I don't think I had a handle monetarily on how much I spend on toys. This is what I spent on toys before I did this. Mm-hmm. Now I'm doing it, and like I would keep like spreadsheets of like everything I've bought. Like, I got piles of receipts I've got to go through and kind of organize. I don't know. I don't know if I found anything new. I think what I found was I like encouraging the positive energy and encouraging the acceptance of us as a group. Mm-hmm. Because I think that has been one of the most damaging thing that on a daily basis I think we all face. And I think I kind of put that forward in a lot of the videos. Because like I went to Target and they're like, well, what are you looking for? I'm like, can you just scan this and tell me if you have it? They're like, well, what is it? And I go, Star Wars. Well, they're like, Star Wars is in that aisle. I go, I understand that. Could you please just scan this? Like, and like on a daily basis, like we are, I don't know another word for it, but I feel like our passions, our skills, and the things that like you and I might do with this, at least for me in my daily life, are marginalized because they have to do with toys. Like in my day job, video production, being able to talk, do public speaking, knowing how to interview somebody and talk to somebody, knowing how to find product when you need something for work, all those little things are looked down on and like looked as a lesser person because of that in my life. So, and I have to imagine other people feel the same way in certain situations. So I wanted to highlight that this is normal and this is okay.
You know, I think there is this kind of shift that's happening, especially during the pandemic. I think the pandemic did a lot of things for, as awful as it sounds, I think it did a lot of positive things for this community as a whole, because people being stuck at home and not being able to spend money at restaurants and going out to movies and going to events and concerts and things like that started to kind of reconnect with, I think everybody has a little bit of a collector in them, whether it's, you know, clothing, whether it's cosmetics, whether it's collectibles, mm-hmm. whether it's, you know, sports like a baseball
music
cards,
or
cards,
sports,
music,
anything,
whatever,
yeah,
records, yeah, whatever. I think the whole world kind of started to reflect on that, and that's why all of a sudden we see a resurgence in trading cards. We see a resurgence in, you know, all these nostalgic brands like the Turtle Sans that's going on right now, where there's Ninja Turtles everywhere and there's not even new media with it. NFTs, you know, like all of this collecting culture, I think is starting to kind of fold in on itself. And I've even noticed, like in my in my general area, like, you know, my territory, if you
Mhm.
will, when it comes to, you know, the Targets and Walmarts and whatnot, um, people are a lot more willing to help, because I don't know if it's just they've given up on like fighting it, or if it's like there's so many people asking, this isn't weird anymore. I'm air quoting, you know, this isn't
Yeah.
weird anymore. But I think we are moving in a direction, and two, with like, I mean, look at some of these more recent events that Hasbro has hosted, right? They have, you know, people like Taboo
Yeah.
coming on to like announce action figures, and like Taboo is writing comics for Marvel now, and you have all of these, like John Leguizamo is writing comics for Image.
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane is pairing with Steve Aoki.
Everybody.
Like, you know, you have all of these people, and like it makes me wonder, like, who else is out there that's, you know, like has been a closeted collector this entire time, that's like super famous, that just needs to kind of like pop out and be like, oh look, by the way, here's my Star Wars Black Series collection. Catch me on Thursday nights on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I hope that that's true. I don't see it in my personal life. Like, I work in a very academic world. I work in a museum, and it is very academic focused. And if it isn't a 300-year-old chair or something that has a PhD behind it,
all museums are collections.
you would think so. You would think they'd be more understanding about this stuff, and
it's
they're
a bunch
not.
of really expensive detolfs with
Yeah.
fossils in them.
And they don't because it's not. I didn't get a PhD from Yale for it, so like it doesn't matter. Like I do like somebody said something. I wanted to do a project recently, and it was like a one-on-one interview like this, talking about a photography project, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And they're like, no, we want to do it this way, and I go, that's no, like I'm going to do it this way. And they're like, no. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, you know, what experience do you have? And I go, I've done 104 interviews in the last 2 years, and I record, and I do a 10 to 15 minute video recording every single night. And they're just like, but why? Like, why would we like it? No, sorry. So, I mean, it's I would like it better in my life. It's not. And so I'm happy to hear other people finding it. But I think that the thing is, it is still collecting toys, right? It is still, end of the day, it is still toys. And so there is definitely a stigma attached to it. And so that's why every night I'd be like, and the most important thing is about sharing this with you because you're normal. Like I would say that, maybe not every night, but it would be a constant piece of the 365 days of like, you are normal and this is normal and what we like is normal. And like it's okay to like it and not feel weird about it.
Yeah, because I mean, I am very not normal, but collecting toys is not the thing that makes me abnormal. That's,
but
if
I
anything,
think
that's one of the things that makes me more normal.
so here's and here's, I will throw this out there for you, is I've seen your room. I've seen it without the background on it, and like I'm like, oh, that's cute, because like DJ came over. DJ drove up from Long Island and we went out for the day, and he saw the basement. He saw what I called the archives. My mom makes fun of me. I was like, it's the basement, but we call it the archives. And, or I call it the archives. And, he's like, oh my God. Like, and the thing is, like, this is like almost a museum at this point.
One day I'll get to visit Rancho Caster's Corner.
Yeah. You hopefully it'll be somewhat organized. And so that's where it also comes down to like timing, right? Like this takes up so much time and energy of doing this every night that like something had to suffer. So the things would go into a box and they'd go down to the basement and they'd be labeled and everything and put away. But like organized, no, not even close yet. So
I literally spent, and again, like, the volume is nowhere near comparable to what's going on your situation right now, but I keep a very in-depth spreadsheet. Like,
Yeah.
the bins are labeled, the toys go in bags, the bags go in bins, they go into the spreadsheet, so that way I know which bin they're in when I need to find them. Yeah.
I have all my different levels of bags. Little accessories, bigger accessories, 4-inch figures, 5-inch figures, Marvel Legends, and then Hulks.
Yep. Every figure has a home, so that way if I want something for a photo, if I want to change up a display, I know where I can find everything quickly.
Yes.
That I had recently had it, and there's a new baby in the house. So a lot of that kind of went to the wayside. I spent a total of 3 hours the other day just updating a spreadsheet, because like I had still been bagging things and just kind of haphazardly, this bin, this bin, this bin.
Yeah, I've done that recently.
Like, flipped through Instagram looking at all the photos I had taken, and like, yep, didn't mark that one down, didn't mark that one down, didn't mark that one down. So I get it, and that's a big part of the that's a big part of the tedium.
I need an intern, is what I need.
Don't we all?
But I mean, and just by the numbers, you brought up spreadsheets, just to kind of give everybody kind of a general idea. I have bought every single Marvel Legends figure that was released in 2020 and 2021. Now, I have also bought 95% of every 90% of every Transformer that Hasbro's put out in the retail line. Every single, most of 85% of all the Star Wars figures for the Black Series, probably 20% of the vintage, 100% of every He-Man toy that was put out by Mattel this year. Mezco, NECA kind of fell in there at places. Fortnite for sure, from both Jazzwares and Hasbro. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, like, so just by the numbers there, just if you just calculate, like, I bought every single Marvel Legend, and if it was an army builder, I bought at least 10.
The Marvel Legends one alone.
Dwight says I'm crazy.
It's terrifying. The Marvel Legends one actually terrifies me, because I just think of how much space the Marvel Legends take up in my collect. Yeah, you're hurting my brain.
You want me to hurt your brain even further?
No.
I'm going to do it anyway. I figured out a way through friends who weren't ordering minimums. I have 12 Shield Agent 2-packs on the way. So that's 24 of them. I have 20 scrolls on the way. G.I. Joe Classified. I'm in for G.I. Joe Classified. And I army build every single one of their army builders. Wow.
Well, this next question is going to be really difficult for you to answer then.
Okay. No, go for it.
So, this could very quickly open up a can of worms, as we reach the end of the year. And I feel like, again, like most people have their normal collection, the things that they collect, the expectations that they have for themselves. I am going to make you choose one right now. It doesn't your answer could change in 2 weeks when you do your best of 2021 list. But what was your favorite toy from the Toy of the Day series? Favorite toy that you featured?
Favorite toy personally, or favorite one to review?
I'll let you decide.
Okay. So I have two.
Okay.
But for different reasons.
I'll allow it.
Okay. So I think the toy of the year for me, hands down, is the Hasbro Gamerverse Miles Morales, the standard. I have two of them. I bought two of them because I wanted one to take everywhere with me to do photos if I'm doing photos out, and I wanted one to keep in the collection, so if I want to keep pristine, for lack of a better way. My favorite moment of doing this year, like toy that kind of literally made me cry, was the Age of Apocalypse Wave 2. 3 days after Jackson died, they showed up in the state, and I was absolutely determined to find them. I started at 7 a.m. when the stores opened, and I hit 13 Walmarts, 4 Targets, a couple Walgreens, and I came home with them. And I literally found them by, I went to a store. I was sure they were going to have them. Couldn't find them. Looked everywhere. Stopped in the middle of the aisle. Grabbed my heart. Looked up at the sky and said, "Jaxie, I need you." And I looked up and they were top shelf, facing the opposite way. And if I had not stopped and said that, I would not have seen them. So, so favorite toy was that. Favorite moment was that. And those reviews are coming. They haven't aired. Well, they will have aired by the time you see this, but they haven't for us yet.
Awesome. So, now that you've completed this, by the time this airs, you will have completed your 365 days.
Yep.
If there is one thing that you want people who hear about this project, who listen to this show and now know what you kind of went through and what this project has meant to you, what's the one thing that you want them to take away from the project?
I think it's what started with our friendship, to be honest with you, which was, this isn't a competition. This thing that we do, the podcast, the website, the YouTube, the Instagram, the Twitter, it's a friendly competition between friends, but it is not a competition in that I don't like you for what you get more than I do. And I hope it's vice versa. We are, and I've said this to my friends who have jumped at the opportunity to get things early and overpay. I was like, we take care of each other. And there isn't a situation where we haven't found a toy that we were looking for at retail or slightly above. Like if we find it at a comic shop for 29 instead of 22. Mm-hmm. So the idea that we're a community and we need to take care of each other, and we need to make our voices be heard. And I'm only picking up my phone because I think that this is a valuable moment. Our voices were heard. And I think that a lot of times companies sometimes take us for advantage. We can vote with our dollars. We can vote with our voices. We can make our voices and our needs be known. And the other thing is like, hey, take a deep breath. Like take it back a step. Like it is not as black and white. It is not like every day somebody comes in from Wonder Bread and drops off the bread and, hey, if you got there at 7:00 and there's a storm, there's no bread left. And that's acceptable. I don't think a lot of people understand how this toy world works and retail and supply chains and all that stuff work. And so I'm also kind of like, let's inform everybody about how it all works. And also like, let's build a community that's positive and accepting of each other in race and gender and, your pronouns and whoever you are. Like there is room for all of it. Let's not bully, because I think a lot of us have been bullied. So like, I don't know. I think it's just a constant like community. Like let's share our experiences. Let's talk about them. Let's help each other out. Let's do what we can when we can. And be who you are. Cause like, I'm not gonna just magically start editing videos. Like if I continue doing this after 365, I'm not going to be editing the videos. They are going to be like, I'm going to screw up. I'm going to forget a plug. I'm going to forget a mention. I'm going to forget this or that. I'm like, And sometimes I go back and say, oh, by the way, I forgot to say this last night, but blah, blah, blah. Or next time I do a figure, I'll be like, oh, and by the way, I'm going to bring this back out because I didn't know this. Like, I didn't know the bat cycle from McFarlane telescoped.
Yeah.
I had no idea until I saw somebody else post, like, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So I, brought it back. Or like, a different transformation for a transformer or something like that. Like, but I'm not going to edit the video or go back and redo the video. Like, once I do it, 10 minutes in, out, that's it.
Well, like I said at the top, it has been, you do not take enough credit for what you do. And, I've said it countless times, both to you, both on our show, to the other half of Adventures in Collecting, to my brother Dave. You have been so much more than a friend to us. Like, I will never forget walking around like a scared child at New York Toy Fair and being like, oh wait, I recognize that man.
It's
like
one of the greatest moments of my life. I'm going to tell you right now, it really was.
I know who that is, and I'm so lost and confused and by myself, because remember, Dave wasn't with me.
Wasn't there the first day? I know.
Walking around like literally like inches away from requiring a diaper, and literally walked up to him and was like, hey, you don't know me, but and you didn't, like, nothing. It didn't even faze you. You weren't weirded out. You weren't concerned. You were just like, hey, let me know if you need, like, yeah. Like, I felt like you looked into my soul and was like, you are lost. Come here. But here's a cracker. And also, like, you want to
come be in our video?
Yeah, make sure your blood sugar is in the right place, because you seem like you are out of place right now. Like, it was amazing. And literally after that conversation, I like took a deep breath and was refocused and ended up having
had a great weekend. That was
frankly that was a shift. If had we not had the weekend that we had, we would probably not be talking right here now.
I think
it was incredible.
And that speaks to what the focus is, because when I started this 15 years ago, we're going on 16 now. It'll be 16 in a month and a half. Everybody was like, we're not sharing, we're not helping, we're not, you go and do this. Dan Pickett did for me what I did to you. He stopped me in a press room while I was just trying to put up as much content as he could, and him and Jason Toy Otter and his wife came over to me, and they were all like, we know who you are. You're doing really good work. We're really impressed with it. Like, really happy to have you here as part of this. And he was the only one. Everybody else wanted to push me out of the way. Everybody else, it was a competition. And I did the same thing to MCU Collector, because it was his first toy fair, and I met him right before I met you. I met him and said the same thing to him, said the same thing to you. And it's not trying to take away from that moment, but it's what I would rather foster in this world. Because
I thought I was your only one.
I think we're closer than me and Brian, but it's that kind of thing where, and still those interactions, those negative interactions still happen, and it's a shame. And so I just want to really foster that idea of like, let's just be good to each other. Let's have some fun with these things. They're toys. They make us smile. Like, I was smiling all day thanks to that Boba Fett helmet. Like, I can't even tell you how excited it was.
So let me tell you where. So you mentioned before, like, it's not a competition. It's not a friendly, or it is a, if anything, it's a friendly competition.
Yeah.
When you posted the picture of that helmet, my first thought wasn't like, damn, I want a helmet. Was, look how happy he looks with that helmet. Like, just wearing it. I was like, this is like, I could literally picture you with the grin underneath the helmet. Like,
I really was.
And like, to me, that's just like, that is so cool that, like, Hasbro does these things. And like back when they did the when they were doing those community reveals, right, where they were giving like people certain certain figures, I was so happy with the selections that they made because the people that they picked had such wonderful, positive stories. They weren't the people you expected.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, there was a little bit of mix of that. So like MCU Collector got to do the Hulk.
Yeah.
Toy Shiz got to do Venom, like things that made complete sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then Kara got one. And
Super
Sorrel.
Yeah.
And like they have such cool stories, and they're so nice and positive people, and not enough people know about them.
Yeah,
like it was so nice, and it was such like I saw it and I was like, they get it, they understand it, and like I like we can all just celebrate and be happy about this, and like the reviewer community, the toy community, like the I hate using the word, but like the toy influencer community.
Yeah.
I feel like as a whole, like overall, everyone was like, yay. Like everyone was just so happy about it. And it made me so happy too, because again, this community is so important. I've made some incredible friends over the past 2 years, and, you know, both peers and people who have just followed and, you know, have started messaging back and forth. And, you know, it's so much fun, and it makes me look forward to the future.
And we make each other better.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end of the day, we make each other better, because I have a more I'll pull myself back because of the way you and Toy Shiz carry yourselves. To be honest with you, the way you carry yourselves and interact with people, I find myself acting a little bit better as a better person because of it. And I hope that I inspire that kind of thing of like, hey, let's just take a deep breath. Let's take a beat. Like, let's figure out how to do this, or how do we share the stuff positively. And it's really nice to have those moments where you feel like your work is appreciated. Because you don't always get to do that. And without San Diego and without Toy Fair the last 2 years, I usually felt like those were my days. Those were my times to recharge. Mm-hmm. And kind of get out with the community and talk to people, and, you know, talk to Vonner and talk to Adam and talk to Tony and talk to Dwight and talk to, you know, Steve, and talk to all these guys that, like, they're fun to have like little internet conversations with here and there, back and forth a little bit, but like hanging out with them is a whole different ball game. And so I miss seeing everybody and hanging out with like you and Toy Shiz, and like Toy Shiz and I spent San Diego Comic-Con 19 together pretty much every day. Like we were in the same places, we went to the same parties. Like it was nice to just have somebody to kind of go around with. So I hope that this positive community and this trend continues, because I think it's just better for everybody at the end of the day. So
we have reached the end.
Yeah.
We've reached the end of this, both this interview and you know, your 365-day journey.
Yeah.
So I know you kind of alluded to it at the beginning of the pod that you didn't really have a plan for what comes after, but what are you hoping to achieve now in the next year, in 2022?
I need a break.
Well, you don't get one. Back to work.
That's what everybody's been saying. They're like, you're not stopping, are you? And I go, sort of. I am going to take a break. I think I'm going to take the week after Christmas off. Like no videos, no podcast, nothing. Actually, I take that back. I'm recording a podcast that week. But and
you're almost as bad at taking a vacation as Resin Armory. That dude keeps saying he's going to take a vacation, and he's like, look at my new guns.
So it's vacation, meaning just not producing content.
Yeah,
I will be working on stuff, you know, in the house, to try to organize. Toy reviews are going to continue. I don't think they're going to be daily. I think I need to kind of reevaluate how the business makes money, because it doesn't right now. And I think next year is going to be like the, I don't know. I'm not stuff I can't discuss or don't want to discuss right now, but Toy of the Day will continue, just not in a daily format. And because, like, to be honest with you, I got 3 new toys to actually review that need to go up before the end of 365, because I think they're going to generate a lot of like attention. So I want to get those up, but I already have 365 days recorded. So we are going to go over that. But I don't know. We'll see. So, and it'll be interesting because the background will be different when they see those videos, and we'll be like, we're almost there. Well, we're already there. We're past that point. No, I'm just going to continue. Like, I'm looking forward to San Diego. I really can't wait for Toy Fair. I got my badge and I'm got to book a hotel, and, yeah, no, it just, you know, it's like, I put a lot of time into building the brand this last 2 years. Social media was last year. This year was this. And so making a name for myself with reviews and stuff. So now it's going to be new adventures on here, figuring out like what the podcast is going to turn into. Because I took 2 months off from the podcast too. Because I couldn't carry a conversation for at least a month and a half after Jackson died. And so I recorded like 3 podcasts in November. And so those have to go up. And this is going to be the first one. So there's going to be some great podcasts coming up after this. We've got some really good guests.
Cool.
So I don't know. I'm not going to stop. I think what I realized this year was like, this is who I am. This is who I'm always going to be. This is not just a hobby. This is identity. And so however that kind of checks out, that's what's going to be.
Awesome. Well, you know that that you've got a friend in us and me at Adventures in Collecting, and you know, Dave and I had a long talk about this special episode, and you know, there were sentiments that he wanted to get across as well, and I feel like I did. So you know, you know how much we appreciate you, and how much Caster's Corner means to us, and cheers, buddy. Here's to 2022.
Yeah. Thank you for everybody that got me here, because I couldn't have done it without my friends and support and everything. So it was a team effort that got me over this line. So thank you to everybody that kind of, DJ and Jesse and Bill and Junior and Ben, for finding all the toys for me, helping me find them all. And then you and Dave, and everybody we've mentioned already. And then my mom and my girlfriend, who have held me up and not giving me any shit for doing this for a year. Like not once felt bad about it.
So since I'm the host of this episode, it would not be, it behooves me to do your plugs. I got to do your plugs. So make sure you visit casterscorner.com for all pictures and reviews and links and all that good stuff. Make sure you're following at Caster's Corner on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok now. Make sure you're following there. And of course on YouTube, and you can get the link to the YouTube straight through casterscorner.com, and you can check out the 365 days plus reviews. This has been a very special episode of Caster's Corner. And again, I am Erik, your guest host for this special episode. It has been an honor and a privilege. And if you liked listening to me, check out Adventures in Collecting. If not, just keep checking out Caster's Corner, because it's awesome.
We always mention you, so we'll go back there. This podcast was brought to you by Jackson Studios. Jax!